That's a hell of a last line, or potentially go bankrupt. Fill a bow. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, folks, that does it for us here on The Exchange. I'm going to join Morgan for Power Lunch, which begins right now.
Welcome to Power Lunch. I'm Morgan Brennan. Here is what is ahead. The resilient shopper. Walmart raises its profit forecast. Home Depot's revenue growth stronger than expected. And a new survey from MasterCard predicting Black Friday spending will be in full force in stores and online. We'll have those details. But is the consumer actually strong enough to drive sales of RVs? The Winnebago CEO is here to discuss the growing outdoor recreational industry and whether rising rates and a slowing economy will dent future demand.
All right, Morgan Brennan, thank you very much. All right, so we are keeping a close eye on these headlines, this AP story citing a U.S. official about a Russian missile or Russian missiles that crossed into Poland, potentially killing somebody. Those headlines, and again, there's a lot we don't know, folks. Working to confirm everything. Those headlines taking the market down in the last 30 minutes or so. So again, the Dow, it is down 82. It was up 450 at one point today. We got the S&P, the NASDAQ positive. NASDAQ still up 1%. So market's not reacting too strongly, but you do have a senior spokesperson for the Polish government saying they are convening a national security meeting. Again, a lot happening now. It is very fluid. We will get you more as we know it here on CNBC. Treasury yields down as bonds are getting bought as well. And this is Morgan Space. The defense stocks, they're moving higher right now. I think, Morgan, it's not hard to put two and two together if you've got a potential even accident with a NATO member and a Russian missile. As AP is reporting, you're going to get a bid on the defense stock. As
AP is reporting, I will tell you just a few moments ago, I got off the phone with senior defense officials. Defense Department of Defense here in the U.S. is assessing the situation. It is my understanding that we are going to be seeing a press briefing in the next hour and that this is being looked at closely. It's also my understanding that I think according to the Ukrainians, they've seen the largest number of missile strikes there today. So a very fluid situation, a lot of details yet to come. We're keeping a close eye on this as AP is making reporting from a senior defense official, a senior intelligence official, that this was Russian missiles striking in Poland. But I expect we're going to get more information as this hour unfolds.
So Morgan, awesome work, because you're basically confirming that the Defense Department is saying they know something. If they're going to have a press briefing about it, they're not saying it's not happening. So that's an important sort of.
But we don't know the details. We don't necessarily know if it's missile strikes. We don't know if it's actually Russian missiles that have accidentally crossed into Poland, whether it's Ukrainian or whether it's a different situation altogether. It's very fluid.
That is right. And that's what people, investors out there have to realize. And I know you're on Twitter and everybody's going crazy about it. But the reality is you've got to confirm the stories. There are pictures going around, whatever, until we get official confirmation from the government of Poland, which, by the way, is confirmed to be convening a national security meeting. So the government of Poland is obviously very concerned about this as well. There are also reports in Hungarian newspapers about the possibility of another pipeline being shut off due to an electricity issue. So again, there's a lot happening right now, and we're going to bring it to you, but only when we actually get you, the facts.
That's right. And I would also just note that since Russia did invade Ukraine earlier this year, this has always been one of the key concerns, the fact that you have Poland and other NATO countries that are flanking Ukraine, and that any kind of acceleration in any kind of strikes or warfare could have the potential to spill over. And that is when it starts to raise the alarm bells around NATO, the U.S. and our allies potentially getting involved in what that could look like. But we also know, and I know from my conversations with defense officials over these months, and the State Department's been the lead on this, that those diplomatic lines of communication have been in full force and have been open.
And the other, if we're seeming to get confirmation about the actual incident, if the reports are accurate, again, it's a big if, that it does not appear that this was any kind of a strategic target. It looks like this missile, again, waiting to get confirmation, or missiles hit a farm. So, and I only bring that up in a sense that it looks like what we're hearing from the senior U.S. officials, at least confirming the missile, if the accuracy of the location is indeed correct, this may not be an escalation. If it was indeed a Russian missile, it could simply be a tragic, now I hate to say accident because they're at war, so it's not an accident that they're firing missiles off, but I think you get my point in the difference. So again, there's a lot happening here.
I think the reports that are surfacing so far are referencing these as stray missiles, but again, it is a fluid situation, and we need to see what comes out of this. And we will be awaiting some more confirmation and more insight, including from the Department of Defense, over the next hour.
Yeah, and I know we're going to move on, but just from a final sense of timing, I want to put everybody's calendar into perspective here too. What's today's date? The 14th, 15th of November? Thank you, Gino. 15th of November. The EU sanctions, the full sanctions on Russian oil, where they're going to basically make it impossible to ship Russian oil by ship by outlawing insurance transactions, those do not go into effect until December 5th. But that's not that far off, Morgan. So there's been a lot of concern. I'm not tying the two together. I'm simply piecing the energy markets together. That will there be some kind of escalation by Putin if they fear that these sanctions, which, by the way, are not enforced yet, and there's been some chatter in Italy and other places that maybe they should back off them, will they go in? And if so, will there be some kind of retaliation by Russian oil producers, Vladimir Putin? And by the way, if that wasn't enough, the OPEC meeting is actually on a Sunday. That is December 4th in Vienna, Austria. So you've got the OPEC meeting on Sunday the 4th and the full EU sanctions kicking in on Russian oil, which could take, Morgan, by some estimates, either 850,000 to 1.5 million barrels a day off most of the global market. They could probably make a lot of that up by selling it to India and China, as they have been already. But I haven't spoken to anyone who does not think there is some kind of, did you hear that as well?
I did hear that.
Okay, I was worried that might just be in my own head, that there was some kind of reaction to those potential sanctions. Either way, a big developing story right now.
Which, of course, puts the G20 meeting in focus as well when you're talking about getting key countries on board where this conflict with Ukraine and Russia is concerned. China, India being in focus because of that oil piece of the puzzle.
Well, I tell you what, Morgan, I know we're just fill-ins. We're just right now. But I'm really glad that our defense expert is here.
Yeah.
Seriously, I am. Sadly.
Well, we are going to be talking about that more as the hour unfolds here. We get more information, more confirmation, more headlines, more detail, more clarity around this. We will be bringing you a guest in just a short while. In the meantime, we're going to focus on something else that the market is focused on right now. That is a clearer picture of the consumer that is emerging, given the retail earnings we're starting to get. Walmart, the largest U.S. retailer,